Blackerby. He is Brad Law. This is Village Vice. Brad, as far as I'm concerned, two things happened to me today. One impacts a few people. One impacts a bunch of people. Pull up to the parking lot of my gym. There's smoke everywhere. I'm like, what is going on? I look at the gas station next to where I work out. There's a car on fire. Insane. Never seen anything like it. The second thing is the College Football Playoff Committee voted today to adjust what we all kind of saw coming with their format. Top 5 conference champions, then plus the 7 highest rated teams, according to the CFP committee.
Okay. I got a lot of questions. First of all,
sure.
Did you still work out?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it didn't impact your workout whatsoever.
It probably delayed it about 5 minutes because I was one of those people that just watched, what's the procedure here?
Yeah.
And shout out to the officers that pulled out some fire extinguishers and just, it was impressive. Very poised.
Was that what it was? Was that all it took was fire extinguishers?
Yeah, they got it out by the time the fire truck showed up.
Okay.
So shout out to the policeman. Yeah.
All right. Very good. All right. Excellent. And then second, did people walk around and say, you won't believe the smoke inside the gym from this dude who was working out today? Because people could look at you and just call you smoke because, of what you do in the gym.
Sure. No, the only kind of conversation that happened within it is I opened the door and the folks at the front desk are like, what's going on out there? And I'm like, there is a car there's a car outside that is on fire.
Yeah.
And they're like, no way. And then they left their post to go look at it while I went and hit the iron.
I love adding drama to stories where it's just not there. That's fantastic.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So the playoff format. Top 5, you get your 5 conference champions, and then 7 basically at larges. The 4 highest ranked conference champions will be seeded 1 through 4. Each will receive a first round bye. Teams seeded 5 through 12 will play each other in the first round on the home field of the higher ranked team. So 5 hosts 12, 6 hosts 11. We all get how this type of format works.
Yeah. And Brad, do you ever see a situation where that 5 seed isn't the group of 5 conference winner? Do you see a scenario where that's possible in the foreseeable future?
No, I don't think. Well, I don't know. Because
there's a year Cincinnati made it. I guess they would have been a top 4 seed that unique year. But now that I think this is kind of baked in place, I kind of think that's going to be the unofficial. All right, if you win one of the Power 4 conferences, you get a top 4 seed and a bye, and then we park the group of 5 conference winner in that 5 spot. Like, you get to host, good for you, but the visiting team's probably going to beat you.
Can you get to the argument though where, I mean, Cincinnati's in the Big 12 now, so they wouldn't, like a Tulane goes undefeated and they play a conference champion that has 2 losses. Let's say, I don't know, this is tough. Say an Oklahoma State loses 2 games, but they win the Big 12 championship game.
Okay.
Do you go with an 11-2 Oklahoma State or a 13-0 Tulane in the 4 versus 5 spot?
You'd have a hard time convincing me that the Big 12 champion with 2 losses is not as good as an undefeated Tulane. You'd have a hard time making that case to me, but it could be the feel-good story, right? That could be something that we just feel good talking about and we just want to do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more likely in a scenario where it's what we have been used to in these conference championship games where you have divisional winners. But with divisions going away now, your top 2 teams are kind of your leanest, the least amount of fat on the resume. And, you don't get a situation where you have an undefeated team in one division and an 8-4 team in the other division. So there's a chance the 8-4 wins and you've got a little bit of chaos from your conference championship game. There's going to be less of that now going forward.
Yeah, right. So many college football fans and media are critiquing this.
Yeah.
Brad. And I don't think this is where we need to put our energy. I know it's a slow time of the year in the college football calendar. We just want to chirp at stuff.
Yeah.
Which I'm for. That's fine. I don't know if this is necessarily it, because there are folks saying, okay, well, let's just go ahead and get the 12 best teams. We don't need to worry about the seeding.
That's, I can come in and make that level as an SEC homer. I can make that, or I can be on that level, or I can make that argument.
Right.
As the SEC homer is let's say you've got that 2-loss Big 12 champion, and they're going to take the 4 seed, hypothetically.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say you have 2 undefeated SEC teams. They didn't play each other during the course of the regular season. Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's say Auburn and Georgia. Now, Auburn and Georgia play each other. Let's say Auburn and LSU go undefeated. Let's just say, because it's Village Vice.
Yeah, let's do that. That's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. Auburn and LSU go undefeated, and they meet in the SEC championship game. You can tell me one of those teams with wins over Georgia and Alabama and all these other teams don't belong in the top 4, don't deserve a bye in the playoff?
Yeah.
Absolutely, you make that argument.
Yeah. Here's my counterpoint to that. We've talked about the NFLization of college football.
Yeah.
I love the way, and you see this with MLB too. You see it with the NBA. I believe they've changed it now. I'm not a huge NBA guy, so I'm not positive on this. Correct me in the comments though. But I love that when a season starts in the NFL or the MLB, if I do blank, I get blank in the postseason. Yeah. And we now have a version of that in college football. Every few years, you'll get the team with a losing record that wins a really bad division in the NFL. And it's like, well, we knew that. We knew that if they won their division, they would get to host a playoff game. Now, if you win your conference and are a top 4 team, assuming, the Power 4 or one of these top 4 teams, if you win your conference championship game, there's a really high chance that you're going to be hosting or you're going to get that bye. Yeah. And I like that. I like the idea of, because what's the biggest thing that we've heard complaints about regarding the college football playoff? It's like, well, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
What are you looking for? I think this takes power away from the CFP, the College Football Playoff Committee, and it gives it to the schools where, if you do blank, you get blank. If you win your conference championship game, you get a first round bye in the college football playoff. I like it. I think it's good for the sport.
It is, or at least it appears to be, a direct response to screwing Florida State. Right? Because it's exactly the opposite of the playoff committee choosing the best teams for those spots. And that's kind of how it's always worked. Everything is reactionary rather than being proactive and kind of doing the right thing up front.
Do you think this is reactionary though? Because
this
adjustment though, if I'm not mistaken, the plan was it was going to be, the P5 and then you take one G5 school and then you rank everything after that. They had to adjust this because one of the Power 5 conferences fell apart right in front of our eyes. So they had to adjust it and take it one team down. And so we all kind of saw this coming. Do you think it is reactionary to FSU? Because this was kind of one of the talking points that I think you and I had, where it's like, this is really unfortunate, but they're just a year too early.
Right. Well, yeah, but I think hammering it in that it's your top 4 conference champions get the bye. You're building in a reward for the conference champion. We're taking it completely out, because they could have easily adopted another model.
Sure.
Surely there was discussion on the table of, well, the committee will just rank 1 through 12. So do we get in a situation where a conference champion loses its quarterback in the conference championship game, but they win it? They still get to bye, don't they? Because they're the conference champion. It's not up to the committee.
Yeah, assuming they're ranked ahead of the G5 conference winner and they're a top 4 seed. Yeah, sure.
And does that change it? I guess it could change the ranking, but if the ranking is still ahead of that group of 5, then yeah, I do. I think it's absolutely reactionary, and I think it's because that's the way the playoff in the first place was a reaction to a team like Auburn in 2004 getting screwed and being left out of the championship discussion. These conversations are always reactionary. And so, I think this plan is another example of that.
Yeah. Yeah. How does this adjustment to the college football playoff impact the Auburn Tigers and the rest of the SEC? we discuss in just a moment here on Village Vice. We have to tell you about our friends at mybookie.ag. Mybookie.ag, they've got all the lines you could possibly think of, and it doesn't matter where you are. If you head over to mybookie.ag, they can give you all the picks and give you all the options and all the odds and lines and parlays you could possibly ask for. So go ahead and make your free account in mybookie.ag. And then when you decide, okay, this is pretty cool, I think I'm going to do this. When you make that first deposit, use promo code next round. You'll get some extra money to play with, to bet with, and potentially win even more. That's at mybookie.ag. Use promo code next round. I think every team in the SEC benefits from this expansion and from this just overall ruling, Brad Law. I don't think there's one team in the SEC that does not benefit from this.
I don't think there's a named team, but I do think there's a team that could be in the discussion every year because of the example that I gave a minute ago. I think you could have an elite SEC team. And I think because of the Big Ten expansion, they'll probably have a say in this too. At least could make the argument where they're going to have a team that finishes second in that conference, but still looks like one of the top 4 best teams in the country.
Yeah.
And they'll be on the outside of the bye looking in. So I don't think one named team benefits or is hurt. But yeah, I think every year I kind of disagree. I think in that I do think there's a team every year that'll be impacted and could make a case for getting a bye, but they won't have that opportunity because of how strict the layout is.
Yeah, but once again, like if you don't win the conference championship, you're going to have to play that first round. We all know that going into it. I do think one of the seeding complications that could come from this, particularly with the SEC and the Big Ten, is, okay, let's say SEC champion beats SEC champion runner-up.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, odds are they're going to have some years where they play each other again. And same with, Big Ten champion and Big Ten champion runner-up. And to me, I think that's going to be, I like that. Just to be honest, I think I'm okay with that. But I think most people that follow the sport aren't going to like that. What are your thoughts on that?
You saying they would play again in the playoff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because you can't say it's a different discussion than they meet twice in 1 year, once in the regular season, once in the championship game. That's a different discussion. Like if Oregon and Washington, what if you get a situation where Oregon and Washington last year had met again in a 12-team playoff?
And they would have. I mean, if they would have kept winning.
Right. And at that point, if Oregon wins the game, then they go 1-2, but they
Brad Law, I'm going to put you on the spot right now.
Okay.
Putting you on the spot right now. Which 2 teams are the first team ever to play each other 3 times in a season?
Oh, man. Michigan and Ohio State.
It's a good guess.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like, 3 obvious ones, right? Maybe just 2. The one you just said, and then, because of course you're going to bring Michigan into it, and then Alabama and Georgia. I mean, Alabama and Georgia have a chance to do that. They play each other this year, right?
Yeah, they do.
What does this new era of Alabama look like? I mean, we don't fully know,
right. I'm still not, even though they made another home run hire at the offensive coordinator spot over the weekend, just a home run hire.
They just keep doing it, man.
Everything they do is a home run hire.
They just keep doing it.
I think their head coach tweeted somebody's academic success, and all their fans were like, "Oh, they were doomed. Academics don't help you win championships, bro." Anyway, sidebar. Yeah, I'm not so sure they're automatically in that group of potential rivals that could meet 3 times in a year.
Yeah.
That's a good question. So I'm gonna stick with the Wolverines and the Buckeyes.
I think that's the best guess.
Yeah,
I think that's the best guess. And I'm trying to think of like SEC teams that are trending up, and it's like LSU and somebody, like Ole Miss and somebody this year, maybe. But I don't think Ole Miss is going to be like top 2 to where they play in a championship game. They could. Right. They have that in front of them, but because they play Georgia this year, that could be one. Ole Miss and Georgia this year could do it.
Do they play twice? Do they play each other?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure because that's like the only That's like the only loss that you can like circle in Ole Miss's schedule. Like they'll probably go like 10-2 or 11-1. So if they do that, then they lose to Georgia again in the SEC championship. They host Georgia, so maybe they got a chance there. But yeah, Ole Miss and Georgia could do it this year.
Okay, you're right about that schedule. I mean, they go to Baton Rouge.
It's a really solid schedule for Ole Miss. I mean, they are truly all like you talk about teams that are all in this year. It's like it's Ole Miss, Ohio State, and Oregon.
You're right. Yeah, those three teams have followed the same format.
Mm-hmm.
They say we're going to take advantage of the portal. We're going to take advantage of NIL. These are the rules in place, so we're not faulting them for it. But it's very clear what they're trying to Celtics big three this baby.
Yeah, all the chips into the table, and I think it's going to work. I think.
Yeah.
Like if you had to pick, if all three of those teams either make it or don't, like I'd say all three of those teams do make, the playoff.
Ooh, that's an interesting. All right, that's an interesting point. I think Ohio State, if they don't make it this year,
major failure.
You fire Ryan Day on December 1st.
Into the sun. And you would love that because you love Michigan.
I like that this has become a running theme now, apparently. This is just going to be a running joke on the show. Yeah, Ole Miss is looking at the Ole Miss schedule. Once again, we've gotten sidetracked, but Ole Miss, their non-conference is nothing. They host Kentucky. They go to South Carolina. They go to LSU. That's a big game. They host Oklahoma. They go to Arkansas. They host Georgia. They go to Florida, and then they host Mississippi State. That's as manageable an SEC schedule as you're going to find.
It's one of the many examples now of SEC West teams whose life gets easier now that they're mixing the schedule. Auburn's in that same boat.
Yeah.
So Ole Miss benefits from it. LSU benefits from it. Alabama benefits from it. If you're an SEC West team, your life got easier with Texas and Oklahoma coming into the league. It's just a fact.
No, that's a very good point. Yeah. I think that's an excellent point.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. Speaking of excellent points, Brad.
Yes. Well, if you want to make an excellent point with your grooming, then you need manscaped.com and our special code, which is VICE, V-I-C-E. You'll get 20% off and free shipping. You know, we're almost to the end of February, and most people's resolutions now are up in smoke, just like the car near your gym in the story that began today's episode.
Sure.
But if you're still going strong on yours, or if you want to kind of start over again, it's never too late to level up that grooming game and, keep your man hair tamed, Zach, wherever it is, on your face or on your neck or, anywhere. And Manscaped's new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, that's every man's cheat code to look good, feel good, and really turn the page on confidence this year. So whether you're going for a trim or the clean shaven look, this trimmer's got you covered. It's trusted by over 10 million men worldwide. And now is the time to get a grip on your grooming with this exclusive offer. We'll repeat it for you. Go to manscaped.com, use promo code VICE. You'll get 20% off plus free shipping. So listen, the ball dropped a couple of months ago. And if you're dropping the ball on your balls, don't drop the ball on your balls anymore.
All right.
There you go.
So Friday night, opening night for Auburn baseball, which what a crowd, by the way. Program record for attendance. And I don't believe that counts like all the people in the outfield and the parking deck. Like it was a great environment. Props to Butch Thompson and everything he's built with his Auburn baseball program. It was a little chilly.
Yeah.
A little chilly.
Yeah, it was.
We're driving home. We left a little early because my parents were keeping our kids. And so we kind of had a date night, Leah and I did. So we're driving to pick them up and we're listening to the game. We're listening to your wonderful voice describe the action, Brad Law.
Thank you.
And you talk about how wonderful a night it is weather-wise. And my wife, without skipping a beat, says, yeah, Brad, it's pleasant because you're in your little box. It was cold. You have no idea.
Yeah.
And it just came out of nowhere. So I just want you to know that you got called out by my significant other on the way home Friday night.
Well, all right. I will wear that because there's some truth to that. Now, the windows were open. The windows are always open. We never close the windows. Doesn't matter what the temperature is.
Okay.
But I will say, going down on the field, it was like, and I think I made the remark coming back to the booth after the game was over, is like, it's much colder down on the field. But Friday wasn't that bad. At the end of the game Friday, it was warmer than at any point Saturday.
Saturday was brutal. We didn't go Saturday because of how cold it was.
Saturday was rough, but Back to your original point, those the Hall of Fame club seats
Such a
that
great
are
addition.
there
Oh my
behind the
goodness.
plate,
Yeah.
they really now forget don't forget, but say
I'm not going
nothing
to.
of the amenities on the inside, which are first class.
Mhm.
But watching the game from that close, you get a sense for the speed of the pitches and the movement on the pitches and the size of some of the players and the power and the bat speed. And just to be right there is a pretty cool experience. On top of that, you had over 1,000 students for the first time ever at an Auburn baseball game.
That's crazy to think about. That's
Yeah.
crazy to think about. But
yeah. And they did the beer shower when Ike hit his home run to center field. And it was a really,
as they should. As they should do. Yeah.
The steps in the atmosphere that have been taken are the product of a vision being supported and seen to its completion. And that's pretty exciting to see. I think this is a very good team. I don't know what their record is going to be because it's the SEC and you're playing a top 10 team every other weekend.
Right.
But this is a good team, I think. And I love the experience on the team.
The offense, it's hard not to get excited about the lineup 1 through 9. I mean, they've got so much pop behind the plate. You're going to love all of that. The pitching, I trust that it's going to come together. And there were moments from this opening weekend where it's like, that needs to get better, but it will.
Yeah.
Because Butch Thompson's the head coach and it will get better by the time you get into the thick of conference play. Yeah.
I think from this weekend, the takeaway is they did, the starters had an ERA, I think, of under 1.8.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Now it's Eastern Kentucky, and I normally don't like to, and I'm not trying to take away anything from it, but I think Eastern Kentucky is the kind of opening weekend opponent that you want. I think you want to usher in. And now this weekend they go to Jacksonville and they're playing Iowa and Wichita State and Virginia. But Joseph wasn't sharp, but it was his first time on the mound in a year and he gave up 2 hits.
Not quite a year, 364 days.
Okay. 364. Fine. It was Saturday to Saturday. So depending on how you count it, it could be.
That's fair. We can count it. I'm just giving you a hard time.
But again, so not razor sharp, not Vandy 2022, sure. But he only gave up 2 hits. And one of them I thought was questionable. So
sure. I get it.
And then Carson Myers and Christian Herberholtz got stronger as the game went on Sunday. And Chase Alsop got in trouble in the second, but he was good in the first, third, and fourth and finished, got through part of the fifth. I think there's a lot to like coming out of that. And when you take it as that's not the team that we'll see all year, it's the first 3 steps of 56.
Yeah. And you feel good about it. You feel good about it. If that's the floor, you feel good about what the ceiling for this team can be. Yeah. Brad, I think that about does it for today's show.
It does. Thanks everybody for watching. And remember, everyone has vices. Everyone. Make sure Village Vice is one of yours.